Hello and welcome to the SNS Cricket Diaries podcast once again. Siddharth, and Srinivasan on the other side, we welcome you all to another episode of the SNS Cricket Diaries where we're going to discuss the latest happenings in the Cricket World Cup 2023. Thank you so much for continuously supporting us and giving us the encouragement to do more podcasts. So, firstly, Sri, welcome to the podcast once again.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you, everyone who's been watching our videos, supporting us in whatever way they can. Another interesting week in the World Cup, and we will review it and look forward to the upcoming matches.
Absolutely. So इस हफ्ते बहुत कुछ हुआ है. We have been seeing Afghanistan perform so well. They have now won 4 games out of the 7 they have played, and well, as unrealistic as it may sound, they have a good chance to get into the semis. Yeah. We're going to discuss a little bit about them, but of course, the major headline is going to be about India's performance. 2 fantastic performances in this week. If you remember, guys, we did a preview of the India-England game on last Saturday, and since then, India have beaten England by 100 runs, and they have beaten Sri Lanka in another mauling of them since the Asia Cup final. And now we are very well perched right at the top to finish either number 1 or number 2, depending on tomorrow's match. We're going to discuss about India's performances in the last 2 matches, as well as look ahead to India's clash against South Africa tomorrow. So, Sri, firstly, how would you rate India's bowling so far? It's been amazing. Just give a word on the bowling.
It's phenomenal. India has never had such a lethal fast bowling combination, and it's been acknowledged by Michael Arseston, Wasim Akram, Ramiz Raza, even some of the Indian former cricketers. So it's amazing as to what they're able to do with the ball, with the consistency and the control that no other international bowler has been able to do. So that we can look deeper and analyze it. And it also made one Pakistani former cricketer come up with a weird statement as well. So we can talk about it.
Yes, of course, we will talk about it. So, सबसे पहले तो अगर हम इंडिया इंग्लैंड की बात करें, England I think had one of their best days in the field. They restricted India to 229 for 9. And if you look at their scorecard, we see, of course, Virat Kohli uncharacteristically playing that shot so early in the innings and getting on for a duck. And Shubman Gill also failed in that game. But then Rohit Sharma played very well for his 87 and was ably supported by KL Rahul and then by Surya Kumar Yadav. I think his innings of 49 was crucial. And हमारे tailenders ने थोड़ा बहुत runs बनाए जिससे we could get up to 229. And of course, for England, David Willey picked up 3 wickets. Chris Woakes bowled very well. I think his first real performance in this tournament. Adil Rashid, as always, I think he's always very good against India. And Wood also bowled with some good pace. However, when England's batting started, the first 2-3 overs looked well, but then once Johnny Bairstow got dismissed by, it was actually David Malan who got dismissed by Bumrah, then the wickets just started falling. And I think I want you to really, Sri, talk about that spell by Shami, especially to Ben Stokes. So, of course, England got out for 129. India won by 100 runs and kept on the good work so far that we've been doing. So, yes, Sri, your opinion firstly on India's performance in that match.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I think the batting, England restricted us to such a modest total in today's day and age. But looking at the pitch and all, it seemed to be like a blessing in disguise in the sense that we could test our own bowling and also a bit of a middle order. So before we could test bowling, I think we tested our middle order with, say, KL Rahul and SKY, which is Sky, doing some good sort of hard work, which was denied to them because of very great performance by the top order in the preceding games. So I feel there was a blessing in disguise on 2 counts. So I think Sky and KL Rahul had some like match practice, the real game practice, and they took India towards that respectable total. It could have been a good total when you look at it from a 90s perspective, but it was still a very below par score. One thing to keep in mind is Lucknow is known for turning and stopping sort of a pitch, which stops a bit, and it also turns, it deviates a bit from the slow bowlers. So England did a good job there, but when it came to the Indian bowling, I mean, you mentioned Shami picking up another, this game, 4 wickets, a 4 for. The fact that it has been noted that he doesn't do anything fancy. Like there is no wobble seam, there is no scrambled sort of a grip. He doesn't do the knuckle ball or split seam and all that stuff. Simple seam up. And the thing is, not just the seam, it's the wrist position. So he manipulates the wrist position, not as much as Bumrah, but he just lets the seam do the talking.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, and I think under lights also probably the ball swung a little bit more. But if you look at India's batting tree in that game, our top order struggled. So do you think that when we go to such pitches in other games, do we need to recalibrate our approach?
Potentially, I think. I mean, I think Rohit Sharma did that to some extent. I feel. I mean, he did still go on the attack now and then, but I think Rohit Sharma did that. I think Shubman Gill should have been more sort of circumspect, respected the ball that Vokes bowled him. But if I remember correctly, I think it was unlucky to lose Virat Kohli at the start itself without disturbing the scorers. He's got a few zeros, to be honest. If you look at his career, I think the top zeros in one-day cricket from India's perspective. I think even Shreyas Iyer should have made some runs in that game, I felt. But I'm not too upset with it because overall, the Indian middle order clawed back a bit. And then the Indian bowlers did a fascinating job to wrap up the England batting order. So, yes, one or two batsmen. I mean, for me, Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer could have, calibrated it much better. Shubman Gill, I feel, does not have obviously the same experience as Rohit Sharma to go on the attack, and he can assess the condition much better. But Shubman Gill should maybe bide up a bit of time, just a bit of time, a tad bit of time to build up his innings.
Yeah, and here I would like you to tell us a little bit, Shri, about KL Rahul. I'd like to combine this with performance against Sri Lanka as well, because in that game also we batted first. Do you think that KL Rahul should be doing a little bit more, because he seems to be getting out just when set?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with KL Rahul. I mean, you will get those magical performances which you got in Asia Cup and all that stuff. And I think even the start of this World Cup, he did some good, if I'm not wrong. But with these new modern players there, Sid, I mean, you can see Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, Shubman Gill. You see the same tendency, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Massive talent, amazing knocks, like could be a century, could be like an 80, but suddenly you'll have a string of low scores, like 30s and 40s, especially when they're set. So I think it's a bane of the modern day batter, which does not plague Rocco, which does not plague Rohit Sharma and Kohli, because they are the old schools. Although they're attacking, they're amazing players, but they're still a bit old school compared to the Gills and the Ayers and all that stuff. So I think they should pick up some skill to assess, recalibrate from Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. I'm talking about the modern day, which is Gill, and the future, Gill, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul. So they need to have that a bit of calibration when the ball is doing a bit of talking.
Yeah, although I would not like to put Rahul in that category, because he has been playing since 2014, so he's been having a lot of experience. But then, yes, coming to the bowling tree, of course, there was this very ludicrous remark by former Pakistani cricketer Hassan Raza that the ICC needs to look into the kind of balls that the Indian bowlers are bowling. So I think that just goes to show the mindset that certain cricketers or former cricketers have. But what do you think, Sri? Are we doing so? I mean, are our bowlers doing so well? I mean, and so differently from others? Do you really?
Yeah. First of all,
do you
sorry.
really
Go ahead. Go ahead.
we have a different set of balls?
No way. I mean, that's just a ludicrous, insane, fantastical comment by a deluded, disgruntled ex-cricketer who couldn't make it big. So I feel, and he was taken down by a lot of other Pakistani cricketers, Wasim Akram being the ones, like, I would like to smoke what he's smoking kind of a thing. So, he shot them down. And he did mention, like, in an ICC event, they are like a set of balls which the 3 or 4 umpires carry, and they choose 2 and they put it in their pockets. That's it. It's done in front of ICC officials. And it's just, I don't think we should even justify that. Why the Indian bowlers are bowling really well is because of skills, superior skills. I think Ramiz Raza compared the performance by Indian bowlers and the dominance over the other opponent batsmen as with West Indian bowlers, the hold that they had over other batsmen in the 80s. I mean, we
Right.
talk about the 70s West Indies, but the 80s was the one which dominated, which had Malcolm Marshall and all those people, and later Courtney Walsh and all coming in as well. So Patrick Patterson and also these guys, they made the other bowlers look very paltry. And that's what the Indian bowlers are doing. The thing is, the other fast bowlers from the other team, they don't have great seam and wrist position. And they can't, even if they have it, they can't land it on the same spot again and again. And that's what the Indian team management, NCA, has been working. Now, the good thing was Indian batsmen have been in the limelight for years. And in the recent past, especially in the Shastri and the Dravid era, coaching era, the NCA and the Indian team management, I mean, with the bowling coaches that we have, they have mastered the wrist position and the seam. So if you get that right, you're able to manipulate which way the ball swings. And with the seam, you can actually, the reason why Shami is more difficult to play, Bumrah is equally hard, but Shami seams, he hits the seam, he presents the immaculate seam, and batsmen can't figure out because batsmen can't see with the swing, you can see which way the seam is pointed, right? If it's in swing or out swing. With the seam, no one knows what it's going to do until it hits the pitch. That's why it's last moment. So basically skill, perseverance, and the management and the domestic structure imparting that skill with consistency to the Indian bowlers. No other team has this sort of skill set. I think there's a gap of skill set between Indian fast bowlers and the other fast bowlers.
Very well said. And if you look at Shami Shri, उसने अभी तक 14 गेम खेले हैं वर्ल्ड कप्स में, all world cups included, and he has already picked up 45 wickets. And come to think of it, Shri, he actually has missed quite a few World Cup games, not just this World Cup, but even in the 2019 World Cup, the first, I mean, in the pecking order, you had Jasprit Bumrah with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, if you remember. So he missed quite a few matches there before he got his first chance against England in 2019, and even there he got a fifer. And so I'm just imagining that agar usko aur khilaya hota, he would have already crossed the 50 wicket mark. And very famously in the 2019 World Cup semi-final again, he was left out. I mean, can you imagine? He was left out for Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Maybe, I mean, we did perform well with the ball ultimately, but I guess we probably would have reduced them even further that game. So Shami in World Cups, I think, is got an insane record. He has overtaken Javagal Srinath and Zahir Khan, who both had 44 wickets. He is now leading with 45, and I think by the time the World Cup ends, he might be well over 50 wickets. So I think it's wonderful looking at India's bowling. And Sri, moving on from the India-England game to the India-Sri Lanka game. And obviously, I mean, we have spoken enough of our batting and bowling, but to what depths has Sri Lanka gone down, Sri?
I think it's a story of corruption and, lack of intent in the...
Yes. So yeah, Sri can continue with that. So yeah, I mean, I was talking about Sri Lanka's batting, Sri, and what depths have they fallen?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about their cricket so far?
Yeah, I think what I was saying as before was the problem is more with the domestic structure, the administration, similar problems with what Pakistan's been facing, but obviously under different circumstances. I mean, Kumar Sangakkara in that famous lecture all those years ago, he did point out that the corruption and lack of professionalism has obviously been a serious issue with them. So the domestic leagues and all this stuff, they don't produce the same kind of maturity that earlier it did with Jayawardene and players before that. So I think there is no bite in their batting lineup. I mean, there is some serious talent with Sadira, Patum Nisanka, and all the Kusal Mendes. But since Kusal Mendes has taken over the leadership, I think he's struggled a lot with his batting. Before that, his batting was like gold. So there's no real teeth in their batting. Bowling, except Madhushanka, no one's shown any. Now, Madhushanka has been great. If you look at his records, he's been the leading wicket taker with 18 wickets, average of 22. So except Madhushanka, Tikshana is supposed to be their main, like Mendes sort of a thing. But he's been underperforming, and there's no other. I think they're missing that what do you call, the leg spinner.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
So,
it's a big
Hemanta, I
sort of
think. Hemanta.
sorry,
Hemanta, I think. Correct.
Hemanta. No, there's one more, right? The T20 guy who used to play really
Um,
well. I forgot his name.
I think there's one leg spinner who came, Akila Dhananjay, sometime.
Dhananjaya. Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are a couple of guys there in a domestic circuit who could have played, but I think bottom line is they needed stalwart batting middle order, and they needed one more than one, like at least one spinner who was a wicket taking option to support Madhushanka.
Right, right. And I think it's very sad to see Sri Lankan batting. They started off well in the World Cup with good scores against South Africa and then Pakistan, although they lost both the games. But batting was their shining light in the first few games, but it has just gone down. And looking at them losing to Afghanistan, also, Sri, it's a terrible state of affairs for them. So yeah, Sri Lanka getting dismissed for 55, and once again our bowlers shining. Shami picking up another 5 wicket haul in that game, and India ultimately winning by a massive margin of 302 runs, which has definitely boosted our net run rate. And we are sitting at the top, but of course, South Africa still has a better run rate, and we are going to play South Africa. And this is what we're going to discuss now, Sri. Tomorrow is a big game. Not necessarily from the perspective of a semi-final slot, because I do believe that these two teams will end up number 1 and 2. But then from the perspective of a possible final, yeah, what are you looking forward to tomorrow's game?
I think it's a match of two heavyweights. If you look at it, they are the two best performing batting lineups, and obviously the bowling lineups being so good as well. Fielding's been exceptional. So I think it's a matchup between Klaasen, Markram, Van der Dussen, and David Miller versus you've got Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, and all these people, Shubman Gill. And in terms of bowling, again, Marco Janssen with his height, I think he's 6 feet 9 inches. With that height and with that aggression, that canny left arm length, and that awkward angle that the lefty can only bring, he would trouble Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Kohli at the start. I mean, if our batsmen can get over Marco Janssen and their opening bursts, that will be a good way to strengthen our batting against South Africa. I think another battle we should look forward to is the bowling. Marco Janssen, you have Rabada, you have the wild Kudzea, the new. I think he's done so well. Kudzea's got that aggression, and you've got Maharaj picking up 4 wickets in their last game as well. Yeah, I mean, if bowler to bowler also they can pack a punch.
Absolutely. I think
Shami, Siraj, and Bumrah.
absolutely, absolutely. I think they have more firepower. We have more skills. I think तो उस वजह से उस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो battle is equal. Shri, but I think जो मुझे मेरा एक डर हमेशा से रहा है is that if we have a bad day in the field, अगर हम for example हम पहले bowling करें और either of any of Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa are capable of, and they've shown that they're capable of scoring 400 plus. Do you think that our batting would be able to chase down a huge score of say 350 plus if we are put in that situation?
Only if the top three do well. The top three have to do well. We can't see. That's where there's one weakness which I can clearly see against South Africa is the middle order. Look at the South African middle order. I mean, you've got David Miller coming at the lower middle order. You got Markram there. I mean, the best is Klaasen. I mean, he's the best attacking middle order batsman in the world right now, and that's period. There's no one else at his level. I mean, the ability to clear against the spinners and the fast bowlers with consistency. He's the next. I mean, he's a big thing in this World Cup, to be honest with you. So if you say that South Africa posts like 350 plus, if they bat first, and Indian batsmen, like the top three, they don't get a big start, then it's a trouble for India. That's where South Africa, and that's one of my fears as well. If you look at New Zealand, Pakistan today, New Zealand has posted 400, right? And now Pakistan, thanks to Fakhar Zaman, he scored an amazing century, fastest by Pakistan in the World Cup. They've gone into rain right now, and they're ahead on DLS.
By 10.
So that should be a response to South Africa if they score 350 plus 400 against us, and they can score. Believe me, if say our bowlers have an off day, they can score. If any team can score against us, South Africa it is.
Yeah, and I think my fear is that only Rishi, क्योंकि जो हमने I mean if you see the two matches against England and Sri Lanka जहाँ पे हमने पहले बैटिंग की है in the last 10 overs we have not really scored a huge amount of runs, nowhere near what South Africa has been scoring, and of course the pitches are also to be taken into consideration, yes, but then do you think that with now with Hardik Pandya also, I don't know if you have heard the news that he has been ruled out
Yeah,
because so
they
probably
brought in Prasidh Krishna.
they have roped in Krishna.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I mean,
Yeah,
Hardik Pandya is an all-rounder.
yeah. I mean, even I didn't understand that. Why would they need an extra seamer? That
Yeah.
probably didn't make sense to me. But then, Sri, how crucial is Hardik Pandya's loss to us?
It is crucial. It will give that attacking option. I mean, Hardik Pandya brought that attacking option, and that could have strengthened our lower middle order. I think that's where our weakness is right now. Without Hardik Pandya, I mean, Jadeja's got to do the heavy lifting, and
Yeah.
there's no one else. That's the concern. And if KL Rahul goes tepid like how he did against the previous opponents, Sri Lanka, then I mean we're gonna struggle against South Africa. And my concern is these are all round robin, like these are all group stage games, right? But when it comes to semifinals and finals, if any opposing team bats first and scores 350 plus, and the top three from our team don't score big, that means no click ticks. The top three should take us close to 200. I mean, I'm talking about that sort of a performance from the top three, like Gill coming back on with Kohli coming back behind him. So again, it's going to be a concern. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I mean,
Yeah, talking about Ravindra Jadeja, Sri, uh, I don't find I don't think he gives us that confidence of a there's no threat from him in terms of batting. How do you see Jadeja's role now with Hardik Pandya confirmed not to be there? Do you think we need a little bit more firepower from him?
I think the thing is he's going to. I mean, he did well against Sri Lanka, 35 from 24 balls. I mean, I couldn't have asked for more. He's a good runner. He can hit sixes. Obviously, not with the same intensity as Hardik Pandya, and that's where Surya Kumar Yadav has to come in. He has to do well. I mean, he got out at 12 runs. So he can't just blow hot and cold, Surya Kumar. I mean, that's where Surya Kumar Yadav has to come up so that Jadeja can then support them. And that's where our lower middle order can be potent. That's the only thing. I think Sky has to perform well at that tricky situation.
And do you think that we're going to go with the same combination tomorrow? Any changes, do you think?
I'm not sure. They might go with the same combination, or they might tinker with Sky and bring in someone else. I'm actually a bit curious to know how they will go actually, but they might go with the same setup.
But
Now
who do
that
you think if they replace Sky, who do you think they'll replace him with?
That's the tricky part. I mean, there's a temptation to go with the all-rounding option, but that doesn't seem too promising with Thakur. But Ashwin, again, how will the middle order of South Africa play him? He's not an attacking option with the bat, but with the ball, depending on the pitch that we're going to play in, it's going to be a bit tricky as well because that particular pitch at Eden Gardens, you never know. Yeah.
Right, right. And what do you think South Africa would be looking actually from this game? Apart from the fact, obviously, that if they win, they will also mathematically absolutely confirm. Because right
Yeah.
now, although they are more or less true, but mathematically, there's still a chance that if they don't end up winning their next two games, they might not qualify. But what is it that, apart from the win, they're looking at in terms of from the knockout point of view?
I think this game is very crucial because I mean, in the sense that both of them will qualify. One of them has qualified already, and South Africa will qualify for sure. But this game will decide who is the first on the table, and that will be very important. And I think South Africa will give it their all because the first team will play the fourth.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing coming out of like the most important takeaway from this particular game that India and South Africa are going to play. So I think South Africa is going to go all guns blazing with their batting and hope that they can strike early. With if they get like Gill and Kohli early, that's going to be the knockout punch if India is chasing.
Right, right, right. I
Yeah.
think that's going to be That's going to be crucial. So I think a lot to look forward to tomorrow from the India-South Africa game, and I think it might be a peek into what we can expect in the knockouts as well. So thank you so much, Sri, for this, and we wrap this part of the podcast, and look forward to now the next topic that we're going to conclude our podcast with, and that is the wonderful story of Afghanistan. Afghanistan yesterday defeated Netherlands by 7 wickets. Once again, calmly chasing down a score which was not huge, thanks to their bowlers, Mujibur Rahman and Mohammad Nabi and Noor Ahmed picking up 6 wickets between them, the spinners, and they did a fantastic job. There were 4 runouts in the Netherlands innings, and they mustered up only 179. And Afghanistan chased down the target with more than 19 overs to spare. So, Shri, another very professional performance by Afghanistan, and I would really like you to harp a little bit on their performance this World Cup, because they came into this World Cup with only one World Cup win before, and now they've notched up 4 wins, 2 of them against England and Pakistan. What do you think is going right with them?
I think it's laudable and commendable, their performance, all the more because they don't have that much history, cricketing history on the international stage as well, and even in domestic stage. I mean, they're pretty recent, right? Netherlands, Bangladesh, they've had such history behind them. One of the things that they're doing right is they're harping on the right talent that they have, and they know that their strength is in their spin department. The fact that their batting is maturing, I mean, they always had attacking T20 batsmen, but they're playing in the one-day format now, the 50-over format. And I think Jonathan Trott and one of their mentors is Ajay Jadeja as well. I think they have instilled some sort of maturity in them, where they are also attacking with a very consistent, stable sort of approach, rather than going very meteoric and getting out so quickly. I mean, I was looking at some of the shots that even Rahmat Shah, the number 3, was playing. And one of the shots, he played a straight drive, a la Sachin Tendulkar, the on drive, but it was more like a straight drive. And only good players play that shot. And that's why we used to appreciate so much in Sachin, that particular shot that reflected his amazing genius. But Rahmat Shah played that shot, and I looked at that shot. I'm like, he's a good player. He scored 52. But let's not undermine their attacking batsmen in Ibrahim Zadran, Gurbaz, who's been doing so well, and Hashmat, their captain, is brilliant. So they have got a good bunch of batting, which has actually augmented their spin bowling strengths. And therefore, they're a genuine one-day team, and they're not what do you call minnow anymore. I mean, they're so much better than Bangladesh, for example, a test-playing nation. So, I mean, it's going to be, if they can maintain this, if they can harp on their domestic sort of talent and maintain sort of a good sort of consistent performances, we should see better things from them.
Yeah, and I think Rahmat Shah, Hashmatullah Shahidi, their captain, and Azmatullah Omarzai, I think they're performing so well, and they're forming a core of the middle order now. And the good thing is that Shri, ये सब बहुत ही young है अभी भी, and I think their average age is less than 25. The team.
Yeah.
I think the core, मुझे इनसे I'm getting that feeling in 2007 when Shakib Al Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim.
Yeah.
And Tamim Iqbal, they came together for the first time or around that time, and they formed the core of the Bangladesh, batting, and which has served them for all these years. And you include Mahmudullah also in that. So I think some very positive signs ahead for Afghanistan. For all said and done, they may not qualify for the knockouts, but I think this will give a huge boost to the cricket in the country, especially because I think agar one day may if you perform that shows a genuine improvement, as compared to T20. So I think wonderful, and of course yes, the Dutch, although they haven't performed well in this match, but I think overall they would also be pretty happy with their campaign so far. And even now, there is a possibility for them to qualify for the Champions Trophy, depending on, of course, how England perform. So yeah, I think Shri, Afghanistan has done well. And do you see any kind of upset happening in their last 2 games against Australia and South Africa?
I don't think. I think the wildest upset will be if they defeat South Africa, but I don't think so. South Africa is too strong. Yeah, Australia. Yeah, I mean they might give them a run for their money, but Australia is too good, I think, as well. They're in the latter part of the tournament. They've really come on to their own sort of natural sort of playing style. But I think we've seen the best from Afghanistan, and we should really be happy that there's another strong contender from the Asian continent. But I hope that they don't fizzle out like Bangladesh have done. And the reason for that is the management should not be unprofessional, like in Sri Lanka and in Pakistan and Bangladesh. So if they can harp on the natural, there's no dearth of talent in Afghanistan, as you can see. They've got good hitters, good spin bowlers, and very good fast bowlers as well. I mean, if you look at the bowling of Faruqi, I mean, it's just something to be proud of. So I think management and domestic setup should be consistent for them to really come up as a major one-day team. I think if they can come as a major limited overs team, T20, and and win some tournaments, if possible, against the big ones in the coming 2 years, I think that will be really nice. But I think that's my disappointment with ICC and cricket, that if you go back to 1996, Kenya, UAE, Netherlands played.
Yeah.
And Kenya was so good. I mean, Odumbe and Tikolo and all these people, they fizzled out. ICC didn't do anything to, develop game there. Zimbabwe, obviously, with 1999, Zimbabwe, one of the best teams with amazing players, Neil Johnson, Campbell, Streak, and all that stuff, who we unfortunately lost recently. They've fizzled out as well. So they're not even in the playing the World Cup tournament. So I'm not pretty sure as to how ICC is going to develop the game further.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to talk about the different aspects of the game once this World Cup gets over. So do tune in to our podcast. Even after the World Cup, we're going to talk about varied aspects of the game. And I think that's one topic that we'll take it up. So I think with that, we'll finish the podcast, Shri. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. And to all our listeners, please continue to support us, share, like, and subscribe. And we will come with the next podcast next weekend, covering a few matches that would have happened by that time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sid. And thank you to all the viewers. And please, again, as per normal, you need to share our video, follow, and, just like it if possible. And, we're going into the business end of the tournament. So watch out for our next episode. It'll be a very interesting discussion. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sri. Take care. Bye.
Bye.